Peace, peace, peace. I want to make this video real quick. I want to chop it up with y'all real quick. You know what I'm saying? This is very important. Very, very, very important. Some of y'all going to bypass it. You're going to ignore it. You know, y'all like to be entertained. This ain't for the entertaining, right? But there's something that might save your life. You know, make you a better person. Whatever. So, Malcolm X said, right? He gave us a formula a long time ago. This is what I be trying to say, if you was to look at the stuff that our ancestors produced, or the people that came before us, if we was to study, some of the things that they implemented, the systems, the theories, if we was to really look at some of the stuff that they was about, man, they produced a lot of great work. It's the reason why they incarcerated them, they killed them, and they did whatever they had to do to disband them. It's the reason why we cheeks today. We are afraid to take a stand. We are afraid to stand up for anything. We are afraid to just even work in the direction. We are afraid to sound a certain way. We just scared of death. But anyway, and even though death is inevitable. But Malcolm X gave us a blueprint, right? He said, the first thing you must do, right, is change your ideology, right? That's what he said. He said the first thing you must do is change your ideology. He said, because once your ideology changes, he said, then it will automatically change your thought pattern, the way you think, right? Once you change your thought pattern, then it will change your behavior, right? Once your behavior changes, then you could go about some action, right? Your actions are going to be totally different than from the actions you were doing before. So let's go back. What is ideologies, right? It's ideas, right? Ideas that shape the way you look at the world, you feel about the world, the way you look at yourself, your people, your communities. It has a lot to do with your self-image, right? How you feel about yourself, what you feel like you can accomplish, whether you feel like you're important or not, whether people care about you. A lot of things come from ideas. The ideas that, for the most part, then come from us. We've been fed. A lot of times it's not even coming from our parents, right? A lot of times these ideas are coming from the social structure that was already here before we even got here, before even our parents got here, right? It comes from a well thought, planned out, theories of other people, curriculums, etc., readings, documentaries, whatever, media, whoever controls the media, our education, the narratives, the social narratives, etc., right? This is where we get a lot of our ideas from. So when I talk to folks and they act as though their thoughts come from themselves, or you created it, or nobody is making you think the way that you think, I need you to remember this. A lot of the ideas were implanted in your head from the moment you were born, from the moment you watched them little cartoons that you thought they didn't really mean nothing, from the moment you went to school, to elementary school, and they control your curriculum. We barely have any decision-making power. We don't even sit at the tables where they actually even design this curriculum or could vote on certain things, or it could be I don't want that being taught. We don't even be sitting. But anyway, I don't want to go on the rant. They control those things. They control the ideas that get poured into your brain, right? Your sponge when you're young. So we think a certain way, right? So they get us when we're very young. Then by the time we get older, we get to college, we already lost. We're already gone by the time we get to college. So this shapes our thought pattern, right? So we already develop a certain thought pattern. We already think in a certain way. We already have certain thoughts about other people, thoughts about ourselves, thoughts about the people who don't agree with our ideas. We put them in a box, we call them names, we demonize them. So we already developed this thought pattern. If you don't agree with my idea, my belief system, the way I look at the world, the way I look at myself, now I have a certain thought pattern. I'm gonna box you, I'm gonna think of you a certain way, etc., right? Which leads, this is behavior too, right? Treating somebody a certain way, treating yourself, treating the earth, treating whatever we are treating, the people, our community, our neighborhoods, our buildings, like a lot of these things. That's why when I talk to people, and I be like, why you pee in your hallway? like why you litter in your neighborhood? Like why you treat people that look like you the same way? This is why I want you to connect all of these things to. The reason why you could just look at somebody black and be like, that's just another nigga, and don't think nothing of it. And it's so easy for you to mug another nigga. It's so easy for you to rob another nigga. It's so easy for you to do all of these things to other people that look like you. Yet, when it comes to white folk get to, and I'm not trying to tell people to go out there and harm white folk, but I'm just presenting the image to you. The reason why when white people get to jog in your neighborhood and nothing happens to them, you don't release no frustration on them, you don't rob them, you don't beat them up, you don't do anything to them, it's because of them ideas that have shifted the way you think, right, about them folks. The reason why you think it's okay to go rob Mexicans or go pop on Mexicans or do certain things to them, again, ideologies that create a certain thought pattern, that create a certain behavior that leads you to carry out certain actions, right? Now, let me go back. I hope you're catching the drift. Now, how do you expect to change the way you view yourself, the world, your people, your community, all of these other things I mentioned? How do you expect to create new ideas when you constantly read from the same people that think like you? How do you expect to expand your brain when you continue to regurgitate information of the people who made you a slave in the first place? A mental slave, that is. I'm not even talking about the physical shackles on your hands and feet. I'm talking about the people who made you a mental slave. You continue to read from them. You continue to think like them. You continue, and don't even think like you. They literally create a way for you to think. It's almost like the Chinese people. You notice how the Chinese people don't really eat Chinese food? It's the same thing. The Chinese people don't really eat Chinese food. The Indian folks at Popeyes, they don't really be eating the Popeyes, right? So when you think about a lot of these folks that are feeding us some of the stuff, they don't even engage in that stuff. So the same thing, the people who create these curriculums, the people who create these narratives, they don't even really believe the stuff that they want us to believe. But they understand that they must have us believe those things in order to keep us with the mental shackles. Right? So I hope you're following my drift. So how do you expect to expand your brain, to think differently, right? How do you expect to get a different outlook on the world if you don't even have the train of thought to sit down and even listen to somebody who disagrees with you? This is deep, y'all. Because again, like I said, they create certain ideologies and then we create the thought pattern. I'm not going to listen to somebody who don't agree with my ideas. So how do you expect to grow your brain? How do you expect to... Ideas change, ideologies change by different ideas. They do not change by echo chambers or people that think just like you or are in the same box as you. They change by different ideas, by engaging with different people who think differently than you, who take from different people that you usually take from, and having an open ear to listen to them and really get to see where they might be coming from. This is how you get to compare and contrast and use your critical analytical skills to really be like, you can understand where somebody come from, and doesn't mean you have to agree with their idea. See, but we're not having dialogues like this because, again, we have been indoctrinated to think a certain way, to view the world a certain way, to view ourselves a certain way, which is why it's not hard to see why we think low of ourselves, why we don't think we could achieve certain things. And this moves me into my next point, because people sit around here and complain all day about conditions. People sit around here and blame all day about what's happening. People sit around here and whine. They will whine. They will whine all day in America. The moment you ask them whatever they're complaining about, whining, making excuses for that they can't change it or blaming whatever, the moment you ask them, what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? You know, and then, they'll start like, oh, well, I got stuff to do. You got stuff to do. I'll be looking at them like they crazy. Or I got kids. Or I gotta go to college. Or I gotta go to work. I gotta do X, Y, Z. Like, they will have like a whole laundry list. The same way they got the excuses and the complaints and the all of that stuff, they'll have a whole laundry list as to why they're not even going to try. And again, this comes from, that's why I gave you that spiel about ideology, thought patterns, and all of those things. Because it shapes how you look at yourself. It shapes how you look at what you think you can achieve. It shapes that you don't even believe you got power to change anything. So when I hear some of these folks and they come up with this whole list of alibis as to why they're not even going to try to fight, or as to why they not even going to change their situation or their condition, as to why they're not even going to build community, they're not even going to educate, they're not even going to shift the narrative, like as to why they're just going to sit around and continue to complain for the next whatever years, and do bare minimal work. And when I hear all the alibis and the excuses, I'll be like, yo, homie, like, you think our ancestors didn't have children? You think our ancestors didn't have wives? You think some of them didn't have businesses? You think some of them didn't have jobs, didn't have work to do? Some of them even have way more excuses than the excuses you come up with. But they still got shit done. They still was out there popping off. They still was out there moving shit. And they was in worse situations. So when I hear some of you talk that bullshit, I'll be like, yo, say that shit, homie. Say that shit. Say that shit. Because I know who were here before me. I know of the work they did. I know why I am in certain situations and why I got some of the privileges because of some of the people that were resisting before me. So I'm not gonna let none of y'all do that. I'm not gonna say I don't hear you. Some people have like some real valid shit. But there's always shit we could do. But again, if you got the shackles up here, they did the job, man. They did a number on us, man. So if you ain't listened to nothing in this video, I want you to reflect on this. Them people had a different ideology than us, which gave them a different thought pattern. And that thought pattern allowed them to behave in a certain way so that they can go about some action. Let me know what y'all thoughts are in the comment section. Peace.